Just into our newsroom, very special ceremony at Windsor Castle for a World War II veteran who has been collecting money to help fight COVID-19. This is Captain Tom Moore. He made headlines around the world. He pledged to walk laps around his garden, and he did it to raise funds for health workers in the UK. We've got CBC's Natasha Fatta also tracking this story, and a very humble man and a very happy man today, Natasha.
That's right, Suhanna. He had said at the beginning of the pandemic that he just had a small mission. He wanted to demonstrate gratitude to the National Health Services of the United Kingdom because they had treated him so well in the past. And as you said, all he wanted to do at that time was maybe raise about £1,000, do 100 laps in his garden. Well, he ended up raising his initial goal within 24 hours and setting a record by doing that. And today, this incredible event is taking place where he was already a national inspiration. He was already a superhero to lots of people, but now he's officially a Knight of England and dubbed so by the Queen. She carried out the ceremony just a few moments ago, and it's all the more special because not only of how much he's inspired people around the world, but because it is in the middle of the pandemic. The Queen has not been making public appearances. She's not really been interacting with anyone outside of her immediate circle. And now to meet with this man and bestow this honor upon him is really quite an exciting moment. Now, again, he had this very humble mission at the beginning, and we know he ended up raising tens of millions of dollars. Over 1 million people from around the world ended up contributing to him. And all of this was in these most wonderful, universal virtues that we all aspire towards, which is hope and optimism and gratitude. And those are really the things that were keeping him going. And he did it all in style. You know, when he started, he was 99 years old. He was doing his laps in his garden, dressed to the nines. He was wearing his military medals because, of course, before he became a knight, he was a captain. And he was just determined. He kept pushing his stroller in that garden with that smile on his face. But he has said repeatedly in many interviews and even on social media, because he's active now on Twitter, that he never anticipated it would come to this. And he has been tweeting and saying that he's very excited to meet the Queen. That's now happened. He tweeted earlier today saying, today's going to be a good day. I have no doubt for Sir Tom Moore that this is a very good day, Suhanna.
And Natasha, about to become officially Sir Tom Moore. And this is happening with the Queen, as you mentioned, and he says it's going to be certainly one of the most special days. And here comes the Queen. She is there at Windsor Castle, where members of the family and the monarch have been sheltering with her husband, Prince Philip, as well, who is probably still inside, but they've been staying there during this COVID-19 pandemic. Other investitures have been postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic, but this one going ahead today. The Queen looking splendid, wouldn't you say? I believe that's turquoise, and her gloves and her bag, of course, as she's always known to have with her. And Tom Moore, the captain who is 100 years old, meeting the Queen, and so excited to do so as he becomes invested as a knight. Let's just watch as this ceremony takes place. And you can see the Queen with that special tool that she uses, the sword, for investitures.
What an amazing amount of money. How it keeps coming in and get those big falls.
If you could just pick up some of the audio there, the Queen saying to this new knighted Sir Tom Moore, you've raised an amazing amount of money. And Natasha, more than $40 million for healthcare workers in the UK. He did it by walking laps in his garden, and with 2 taps of the shoulder in this private ceremony at Windsor Castle, Captain Tom Moore, who is 100 years old, a national hero, becomes Captain Sir Tom Moore as he is knighted by Queen Elizabeth II.
And now I'm known throughout the world, and with thanks to you, I've got this enormous honour. Thank you so much.
100 is a great age, isn't it? It makes it better.
What was interesting was that we received donations from over 163 countries, which is amazing that they were donating into their reserve.
And perhaps you just heard there talking about his age. The Queen saying 100 is a great age. Now the Queen herself is 94, so you could say very much younger than Captain or Sir Tom Moore. But as I mentioned, looking just lovely and healthy as she gets through this pandemic with her family at Windsor Castle. And Tom Moore, Natasha, he originally had quite low expectations, I suppose you could say, with his laps. Wanted to raise a couple of $1,000s and far exceeded that, didn't he?
He did. And within 24 hours, he exceeded his initial goal. I just wanted to talk about what they're wearing, Suhana, because you mentioned how good the Queen looks. And this is a sort of standard thing for her at these public ceremonies, although there's not a huge representation of the public there. We know that Tom Moore is there with his immediate family, of course. They still have to manage some form of physical distancing in the middle of the pandemic, but she always wears monochromatic outfits, always one color from her hat down to her shoes most of the time. And the reason for that, she's said in the past, is because she wants to be easily visible. Usually there's throngs of people around her in a public setting, and she says it just makes it easier for the public to be able to see me if I'm just wearing one bright color. So even in that sort of thinking, she's aware of her position. She's aware of how important she is and how important it is for people to be acknowledged by her, and that she would be thinking about them. And certainly, as you said, she's a young, sprightly 94, and he's 100 years old, just turned 100. That's 200 years of British history right there between these two individuals, each having lived a rather remarkable life in their own way. But his remarkable accomplishments really seem to be concentrated within the last few months. He set 2 Guinness World Records, one for raising the most amount of money by any individual through a charity walk. And then he ended up doing a recording of a song called You'll Never Walk Alone. And he did that for charity with other musicians. And he ended up becoming the world record holder for oldest person to reach #1 on the UK charts.
And Natasha,
on his 100th, yes.
This event just over right now, and before it, Mr. Moore had said it was such a huge honor that he was so looking forward to meeting Her Majesty the Queen. Now he has done that, and with 2 taps of the sword on his shoulders, he becomes Captain Sir Tom Moore as he is knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. And Natasha, I know even the Prime Minister had sent him a letter calling him a bright spark of light, and there were others who perhaps, copycat's not the word, but were inspired by him to do similar things to raise money for healthcare workers in the UK. So here he is, Sir Tom Moore, with his family at a private investiture at Windsor Castle, presided over by the Queen herself, when many other investitures, because of this pandemic, have been delayed. This one going ahead today, and quite a day for Sir Tom Moore. We'll continue to follow the reaction to this story as a hero, a national hero in the UK, gets what many would say is his due. And with these 2 taps, becomes Captain Sir Tom Moore, having raised millions of dollars, tens of millions, for healthcare workers in the UK. Thank you for that, Natasha. That's CBC's Natasha Fatah tracking this story in Toronto.